everyone. My name is Adrienne Garland, and welcome to Sugar Coated. Sugar Coated is a podcast that was born from the notion that for far too long, women and other people who inside felt like they just didn't fit in maybe small or even large ways, had to sugarcoat their words, their style, or in general, their way of showing up in the world. This podcast started out as a dedication to women leaders. You see, I wanted to shine the light on all the incredible work that women do and how they're making an impact. And I still do. But I realized that a key reason that women have struggled, in my opinion, is that they've had to conform to certain cultural norms and ideals, which are inherently designed to keep those outside of the norm from standing out. This has prevented more women from being recognized as the powerful leaders that we truly are. Join me, Adrienne Garland, the CEO and founder of She Leads Media, each week as I dive into raw conversations with some remarkable, badass women that will help you to strip away your sugar coat and go in the direction of your incredible dreams. Hi, everybody. This is Adrienne Garland, and welcome to Sugar Coated. I'm here today with an incredible guest, Hira Ali. Hira is a force. She is an author of the best-selling book, Her Way to the Top. She's also a speaker, an executive coach, and a leadership executive. Hira is the managing director of the International Women Empowerment Events, where she puts on events for women all over the world. I'm so honored to be partnering with Hira on an event that we are collaborating on that's coming up in July in Dubai. And those things rhyme. So I'm so excited to have this conversation with Hira. And I just want to start with rolling it back a little bit and talking about how we met. I was invited to attend an international event. It was a trade mission, if you will, and it was for these things called the Win Trade Awards. And it was in the UK in 2018, I believe. And I met Hira at a high tea at Parliament. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Hira and just have her tell you a little bit about herself in your own words. And then we'll get into a really great conversation about, women, imposter syndrome, and anything else that kind of comes up today. So introduce yourself, Hira.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to be here, Adrienne. And we have literally known each other for 2 years, but it seems as if we have known each other for ages.
Yes.
But yeah, so a little about myself. We've already given a very nice and kind introduction about me. Yes, I am a career coach. I'm a leadership trainer. And I like to think, I don't say that I specialize in, but I always say I do have a very keen passion in women leadership and ethnic minority leadership. Other than that, I'm the founder of the company called Advancing Your Potential, which provides trainings and consulting services and coaching to women and ethnic minorities and people in general. And then I am also the co-founder of Career Excel, which is an online women leadership program I launched last year with my partner in US called Jennifer Willie. And this year on International Women's Day, we will be collaborating. We will be having our first global collaboration with an insurance company who is rolling out the program for employees in 5 different countries. So that's very exciting. And then I'm also the co-founder of the Gray Area, the objective of which is to capture the experiences of ethnic minorities working here in the UK, in the public and the private sector. And I've launched that with my friend and partner, Sharon Kotaria.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, these are projects. And of course, I am also leading the International Women Empowerment Events, which does events globally and primarily focused on empowering women in Asia and Middle East.
Hira, it's so funny to, listen to you talk. And in addition, of course, you have a family and you're doing all of these other things as well. And I find that when I talk to other women, we say, we do this. And then we launch into a laundry list of everything else that we are doing. And just listening to you, I'm like, how are you possibly doing all of this stuff? And one of the things that I love about everything that you're saying is that you partner together with people. So, you seem to have a gift of being able to connect with people. I think that's how we connected. I don't even remember the exact. I feel like I might actually remember the exact moment. But I just remember being very drawn to you and feeling so comfortable talking to you from the very beginning. You have such a, like a positive, happy spirit. And, I think that's probably the key for you. But maybe you can talk a little bit about how partnering together with people has been, and, has the experience always been good, or have there been times where you partnered with somebody and, maybe it didn't work out the way that you wanted it to?
So that's a very good question. Thank you so much. And thank you for all your kind words. I'm really flattered. I would say, I think networking and extroversion and all these qualities, to be honest, I did inherit from my parents because they were really good at networking. In fact, when I was a kid, I didn't really like networking as much. But when I started my own businesses, I realized its importance. And I do love people generally. I just love everybody. Everybody. And I think that's the reason why I really thrive in collaborations, and I love to connect with people, love to work with women particularly. Because I personally feel that I think collaborations is the way forward. I think when I was growing up, unfortunately, I did see there was a bit of a queen bee culture, as you would call it, where women would not be very supportive of other women, and you did not have a lot of female role models to look up to, because most of the people in the department, the senior people, would be men, and there would be very few women. And then I think generally also, I think a lot of people might relate to this, that growing up, there were very, very few senior women, and some of them would be very competitive, and they wouldn't really be as open to you as you would expect them to be, or as you would hope them to be. And that was actually quite disconcerting and very sad, to be honest. But thankfully that culture is now sort of kind of disappearing, and women now understand that it's really, really important to uplift each other, to work with each other. And I think when we work together, greater things happen, because you are doing something independently and I'm doing something independently. But if we join forces, I believe then that equals to so much more.
Yes.
Because there's no point in people working, in their own isolated space. I mean, of course, there will be projects where you will be working on your own and you can't really always collaborate with people. But if you have like a common mission, for example, when I collaborate with you, because, you do these amazing events for women across the globe. And I think that this is such a wonderful collaboration, just the kind of collaboration. And the person is very important to me, to be honest, because I don't think so. I'm comfortable about collaborating with everyone, because the person should be, and all the words that you described for me would actually be the same words for you. Probably that's the reason why we connected, because you get attracted to people who are like you.
Yeah.
And Jennifer in US, the one I'm doing my Career Excel program with her, she's also an amazing woman, and not one bit of malice in her heart, and she's really nice. Women who are who really want to help women and support them. So of course, when you are working with people, there will be disagreements, there will be conflicts. It's if you think that there will be no conflicts and there'll be no disagreements at all, then that's not something which is very realistic. Because obviously, if you're working with strong, independent women, there will be differences of opinions.
Yes.
But how to kind of draw a line, and how to come together to solve those differences is very important. So International Women Empowerment Events, I have a team of 4 people, and they're all 4 strong Asian empowered women. And of course, 4 women in a team means, of course, you have a lot of differences
18
of opinion.
16 opinions.
Yes. Different opinions, different thought processes, different leadership styles. So, there's a lot of that. But I think I would confess that when I started this last year, I think there was a bit of anxiety because, you're trying to adjust to each other's styles. Because I think having one person to collaborate with is still easier, but having 4 women to manage and collaborate was a bit tricky. But now I think we've reached that stage because we meet very often. We are went out buddies. We discuss. We have any problems other than work too. We discuss with each other. So I think we've reached that stage where it's very, very comfortable. And I think it just doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
You have to give relationships time. And even if you're working in a team, you need to give that time. So the trust is going to establish slowly and gradually. And I think the most important thing which you need to realize is that people will not work according to what you want them to do because everybody has different personalities, right?
Yes.
And I mean, for example, I think I'm very nice, sociable, likable, but when it comes to work, I'm like, the team.
You're a badass. Come on here.
Yeah.
We all know it.
I'm sort of like a type A personality who really wants everything executed in time and, flawlessly. Well, maybe not flawlessly because, I'm trying to preach women to let go of perfectionism. But but everything needs to be done in a certain manner. And you have to understand that every person, every team member will bring a different strength to the table.
Yeah.
And not everybody can do everything.
Yeah.
And I think the moment you realize that is the moment where you will be able to gel in with people better, and then you'll be able to collaborate with people better because, I might be very good at something and the other person might be very good at something else. So when you kind of leverage the strengths of the team, I think collaborations work wonderfully.
I think that this is such a fascinating concept. And, I've just launched the She Leads podcast network where we have women that are on the platform that have their own individual podcasts. And the idea behind it is that, they're contributing the expertise and the content, and then I'm delivering the sponsorships and we're all sharing in it. So it's really this idea of the collective. And I think that what you're describing, this collaboration, is an idea of the collective. So you're each sort of bringing something to the table that is unique and special, but then all participating in the benefits of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think one of the keys to success is being really clear about what the individual roles are, because I can only imagine, with 4 people, and everybody probably not wanting to hurt each other's feelings, yet wanting to, move forward, and they have their own vision for, how they want things to be. I can only imagine that it's very difficult to kind of make decisions because when you're not wanting to hurt other people's feelings, you have a different viewpoint, you really have to have this extremely clear and direct communication style. It's sort of what this podcast that we're on today is all about. It's, you need to let go of sugarcoating the bullshit so that you can move forward and accomplish goals. And I think we all need, as women, when we do come together in this collective way, to have a very real outcome, a profit-driven outcome so that we can demonstrate that there is power in the collective.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think this is so important. I think what you said, we can't really sugarcoat things. And we have to kind of present it the way it should be, right? I mean, a lot of times we as women, we want to be likable, we want to please people, we're people pleasers. And sometimes we do not really say things which we want to at the right time.
Right.
Because we fear offending people.
Right. We're afraid.
And I think,
yeah,
absolutely. We're we're afraid of losing people. We're afraid of judgment. We're afraid that people might think that, oh my God, she's so rude, or she's, the famous B word because she's so bossy. And then, so things like that. And I think this is a problem with women. And I think I think I still sometimes struggle with that because on one hand, you want to be nice, you want to be likable. Yes, absolutely. I mean, as women, unfortunately, we are expected to bring likability to the table.
Yeah.
So if people see that that's not happening, that's not something which, that people are not able to accept it if we suddenly are if you're very firm or very, if you try to be assertive, people find it difficult. But then that's what we need to do. And we really need to be firm and assertive when it is important. I mean, yes, you could be likable, sociable, whatever, all you want. But when you need to be firm and assertive, and when you need to tell people off, and when you need to get things done, then you really need to, because otherwise you won't be able to survive in this world, honestly speaking, if everything is so
rainbows and unicorns.
Absolutely. So, and I think, and unfortunately for women, I think it's a very thin line. Because it's like, oh, when you're being assertive, people will probably say, oh, you're being aggressive.
Right.
When you're not being aggressive, you're just simply being assertive. If a man is doing the same thing, we all know that, oh my God, he has an amazing leadership style, strong personality. But if the woman does the same, then it's like, oh God, she's aggressive, she's emotional, she's angry. Unpredictable. Yeah, that's something also which I got in the beginning of my career, because I used to be genuinely nice to people most of the time. But if people didn't give me work or didn't give me what I wanted to on time, so I would give them like a shut up call.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, oh my God, she was really nice yesterday. Well, yesterday I was nice because it was for a different reason. We were just having a conversation, and today I went to work. So please give me that assignment right now.
Yeah.
I want it. So I think it is a little tricky for women, but it is important that we are firm. Right?
Yeah.
And is that the theme of your podcast?
You know what? It's so funny. So yes, that is exactly the theme of the podcast. It's this whole idea of, sugarcoat this motherfucker. You don't need to sugarcoat things in order to get things done. We as women need to stop sugarcoating what we need, what we need to ask for, what our reactions are to things. And even though it might be expected of us to be kind, we need to change what those expectations are. And the only way that we can do it is by pushing the envelope and really speaking what we feel instead of sugarcoating everything. And, I'm being a little on the aggressive side here with just, my language, because I feel that sometimes we have to go to the other end of the spectrum to come back to the middle. And I really want to encourage women to speak their mind. Of course, you don't want to be offending people, or, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. This is not about, going from kind to being mean and selfish. Yes. This is about expressing your needs, saying what's on your mind. If a man can do it, a woman can too.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think and I loved the description you gave. I could actually visualize the question as going to the other side of the spectrum and abusing people and saying everything I want to some people, and then literally going back in the middle again. But yeah, sometimes you really need that kind of vent out to kind of unleash that
right, the inner like, I don't know, the inner Wonder Woman, the inner bitch. And it's not even that, even that is like, and I totally get where that's coming from, but it's like, even that word is almost like a judgment word. And it's not so much a bitch. It's just, hey, this is how it is. Like, tough. It's a little bit of a New York attitude. But, I also can imagine, just to dive into this a little bit more, culturally, there are many differences too. So, for example, I am from New York and I have a little bit more of an edge, and I do feel a little bit more bold to be able to say what's on my mind. But, in the Middle East, being, Southeast Asian, there are cultural things, there are religious things that are very ingrained and that make it difficult for women to feel that it's okay that they can express themselves. Is that some of the things that people come to you about?
Yes. So I think in Asia, like even after I said the B word, notice I said the B word again, I didn't say it. I just felt, oh my God, what if their family members listening and what if they're like, people from my, I don't know, friends and circle listening and they'd be like, what's she about? Just because she's doing well, so she's going around saying these words. So obviously there is this shame associated with girls being too loud or being too, I wouldn't even say rude. I mean, if you were just standing up for yourself, then people would just see you as somebody who's super bold. And I don't even have the exact words to say it because it's not really something you're not like the nice girl anymore, to be honest.
Right.
So you literally need to be very particular all the time about what are you saying out there in public, what you're wearing, so everything needs to be, and I think I've reached that stage of my career where, I mean, to be honest, opinions really don't matter to me, but deep down I would say I'm still very South Asian-ish, or
yes.
My culture does influence a lot of things which I do, because I mean I am conscious if somebody sees me doing something which is considered to be a blatant violation of cultural boundaries.
Yes.
So I think that's the thing. And I think I think that's also part of my value system. So I mean, I wouldn't really do things which would be a blatant violation of my values. So I think my values are very important to me. But at the same time, like, being firm or being assertive, that doesn't qualify as being a bitch. There, I said it.
Right.
I said the word.
And
apologies to anybody.
No, you used it appropriately, and it's so good. So, how do you sort of help women get past that feeling like they are doing something that's shameful when they're just simply being bold and standing up for themselves? What kind of advice would you give somebody that is looking to be more bold in their communication style so that they can get what they want and almost be a role model for others, but at the same time not crossing the line?
I think what is important is that you need to be true to your own inner personality. And the thing is, I would say I'm confident. I love public speaking. I don't have problem interacting with people. I just love, like, literally don't mind being in the spotlight. So that is my personality. But at the same time, I would say that I am conservative in many ways, because like I've said these words in the podcast, and there are a lot of people who generally, when they are writing the text or the content or, doing in their regular language would be very open, and they would be using words which I probably wouldn't. I would refrain from doing it, because it's not that I think it's bad. It's just not my style.
Sure.
So the only thing is, I think you just need to identify what your values are. And if it's okay with you, if you don't have a problem, if you're comfortable using these words, then why not? Or if you're comfortable being in a certain way, if you want to, there's this very controversial topic. So I have a lot of friends who have recently kind of taken off the hijab because of XYZ reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, probably it's because, they don't feel safe on the streets, or maybe they don't really want to kind of cover their head anymore. I mean, who knows? I don't know the reasons exactly. But the thing is, and then the rest of the people start judging them, and they say, oh, you shouldn't do that. And once you've worn the hijab, then you should continue doing it. And I don't believe in all that, because I am a practicing Muslim. But at the same time, I do believe that everybody has the freedom of doing what is best for them without other people judging them. So as long as it's good for you, and what is good for you should be okay with the rest of the world. So the moment you accept yourself, and the moment you say, well, this is what's good for me, and this is what I'm going to do. Yeah. I think that's when, and if you start accepting yourself, then that's when other people will start accepting you.
That's so profound, Hira. I think that is, I think that's almost the definition of a value, right?
Yes.
What do you feel on the inside is right for you? And that is where confidence emanates from.
Absolutely. So, I mean, for example, if I go to an event, I don't drink alcohol, right? I have halal food, but at the same time, that doesn't stop me from going out and mingling with a lot of women in the evening who probably just go out and have a drink in the pub. So they would they would still invite me, and they would order me juice or water. So, I mean, I haven't really compromised on my values. If I go out, and sometimes I'm fasting when I go out with friends, and I will just wait. And then the moment when
Why are you torturing yourself?
No, but I usually go at a time when the fast is about to break.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I literally just wait for 5 minutes, and then I go and have food. So what I'm trying to say is that, you still could stick to your values and your beliefs and your practices, and also get along with people who don't have the same values and practices, right? It's perfectly all right. It's all about connectivity. It's all about connecting people on another level. So it's my whole thing about, ever since I moved to London, I think the one thing which I never did, because being an Asian Muslim women, a lot of people find it very difficult. They have a cultural crisis or an identity crisis. Now, I'm very, very, I would say, like, not fixated, but I just know that these are the lines which I don't want to cross.
Yeah.
Right?
The bright line. Yeah, exactly. And at the other hand, I love networking. I love meeting people. So, I mean, what are the ways in which I could balance both of them? And to be honest, there are always ways which you could balance both these sides of your, whatever your values, your practices and beliefs. I mean, you don't really have to go all out and say, oh my God, because I don't drink alcohol, I'm not going to go out with anybody, or because I eat a certain type of food, I'm not going to go to any of these restaurants. I guess flexibility is the thing. Mm-hmm.
You obviously need to be flexible, and just know that these are the values I can compromise on, and these are the values I can't compromise on.
Right.
And it's as simple as that. So once you identify that this is something which I'm okay about doing, and this is something which I'm absolutely not okay about doing. And I think once you do your self-analysis and you know what it is and what are those things which you can't really not do, because it will be a strong conflict, and it has nothing to do with family, culture, religion. It's all to do with you.
Yeah.
So this is something which I will never do, because this will be this will be like a huge conflict with what I believe in.
Right.
So I won't do that. And this is what I'm okay to do these things, because this is not a conflict. So I think it's a personal choice.
And that is truly the definition of, self-empowerment. It's knowing yourself so well and understanding what your value drivers are and taking that with you wherever you go and in whatever situation you find yourself in. And I think that is an extremely powerful position for a woman to be operating from. And that type of an approach is really one that I think that would benefit, many more women, so that we're not feeling all of this outside pressure to be this or do this or say this or act like this or look like this. You got to come from that place on the inside that is empowered from the inside out. No one else can empower you, because that suggests that they have the power and they're giving it to you. You literally need to be empowered from within.
Absolutely. I love this. I love these last 3 lines absolutely so much, because this is exactly what it is. You don't need others to give power to you. You need to empower yourself from within, and you need to just do you.
Yeah, I love that.
What's good for you, what's not good for you. I mean, I think, we're at this age where we're no longer teenagers.
Well, I am.
Teenagers at heart.
Yes.
Absolutely. But I think once you have that, when you have these boundaries of and when you know that this is what I can do and this is what I don't want to do, I think it just becomes very easy. And I think a lot of people are just very scared to be vulnerable. I was also telling this somebody, so I was sharing this with somebody 2 days ago, when they said that, well, when you moved to London, this must have been a very new environment to you. Then how did you adjust? Because, coming from Dubai and Middle East and Pakistan. And I said, well, the thing is, I don't mind being vulnerable. So, for example, I've done my O-levels and A-levels, back in Pakistan. So communication has not been such an issue. My English, speaking language and all that's not been such an issue. But there are, of course, certain etiquettes or certain things which I may not be aware of because, they're very British and I'm not British, right? Because I am, I love British people, but obviously there are certain things which I may not be aware of. And if you're not aware of something, then it's better just to say it out loud and say, I'm sorry, I don't know how this works. Could you help me?
Yeah.
And there's no shame in confessing that you don't know things, because if you just want to, I think that also creates a lot of stress and anxiety in women and also in men.
Yes.
Because you want to try to fit in with people and you want to try and do things which you're not aware of. You have no clue, no idea what needs to be done, but you just need to kind of do everything just to, be in the crowd.
Right. To try and prove something. But
exactly.
in your quest to prove that you fit in, you actually demonstrate that you don't fit in. And I think what you're saying is so spot on, because to be vulnerable and to be able to say, hey, I've never, heard that before. I've never experienced that before. And to almost ask somebody like, hey, can you explain that to me? Or can you help me to like do this in the way that's acceptable? People want, I believe that people, except for the real, jerks, I think people really do want to help. And then that's a way that you can build a connection with somebody that is real.
Absolutely, because I think authenticity is just so important. I think it's one of the most underrated leadership terms, leadership qualities or traits out there. But it is so important to be authentic, to tell people that, well, see, this is what I know and this is what I don't know. And this is what I want to do and this is what I don't want to do.
And I think that's the dark side of perfectionism too. It's like if you believe that you need to be perfect and so you need to know how to behave and what to say and everything in every single situation, you're going to fall on your face. So you need to let go of wanting to put this like perfect image out there or, perfect behavior out there, because you're going to actually turn people off. And the perfectionism is the thing that is getting in your way. So that's why I love the work that you do and, what you're promoting to people and everything, because you do have to be real. You have to be such a real person. I mean, look, I was outside of my comfort zone when we went to the Win Trade Awards. We were, we had high tea at Parliament, which I've never been to that. I didn't know how to behave, what to wear, what to do. But I was able to connect with you and so many other women that I still keep in touch with to this day. And, if I was concerned that I didn't have on the right hat or eat the little sandwich the right way, I would have been so obsessed with myself and not been able to connect with others.
And I think that is absolutely right, Adrienne. I couldn't agree more. And I think if you are able to connect people on a very authentic level, then these are the friendships that are going to last. But if people only like you for a certain image that you portray to them, then I'm sorry, we can't be perfectionists all the time. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And the reason why, in the survey that I did for my book, a huge majority of women feel this pressure of, am I good enough? And they suffer from imposter syndrome. And all these challenges which they experience are interrelated. So because they feel they're not good enough, they really exert every effort they can to be perfect, to do their best in whatever they're doing. And because of all that, they wouldn't self-promote. They would be scared to be vulnerable, and all this, in turn leads to stress and anxiety. So like literally all these internal challenges are so related. And I think the biggest problem for women is this fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment, fear of everything. I mean, it's really sad, but like women are so, it's this is one thing which kind of, I think
this holds us back. This is the back. Exactly. And excuse my language because I'm a New Yorker, so but this is the shit that holds us back, and this is this is the stuff that I see, and that I just want to shake somebody and say, stop it. Like, you're not getting anywhere. You're not doing anything. You're digging yourself into a hole that is becoming harder and harder to get out of. And that's why I'm so passionate about, helping women to give them voice, to literally be creating a platform that allows them to use their voice and get it out there so that we can hear all of these diverse thoughts and opinions and voices, so that maybe somebody who's suffering from imposter syndrome can listen in and say, you know what, that person, that I can relate to that person sounds like me. And if she can do it, then I can too.
I can do it too. And then what is the worst that can happen? I think anything that doesn't, I just keep on asking this question and put this in my book too, that anything that, what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
Anything that doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. So if you're not going to die, nobody's dying. So then I guess just go ahead and do it. And we all make mistakes. We all make blunders. We have these literally weird things that we do, and then we look back at it and we're like, oh my God, what if I'd done this better? And then it's fine to experience shame and embarrassment, whatever, for temporarily. But I think it's just important to move past beyond these things, because we as women tend to linger on failures for so long.
Yeah. I know I do. It's so funny. That is something that happened to me. I had, I guess you could call it a failure. I'm trying not to call it that. It actually ended up becoming the thing that allowed me to launch the business that I have today. But I had a big failure on the corporate side. And because my self-esteem and my self-worth and my self-definition was very caught up in, what I had achieved on the corporate side. When that didn't work anymore, I didn't even know who I was.
Yeah, no, that happens, Adrienne. And I think it's very natural. I think women do tend to think about failures a lot, but I think if we reframe that failure and say, well, this is just a temporary, it's not even just a roadblock. Sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, because then it leads to such amazing things which you had previously not imagined you would do.
Yeah.
So I think, in fact, I always tell these people, that failures are really important for you. If you have failed in a big way, that is so healthy. Seriously,
I must be the healthiest chick out there.
Yes, it is.
Because I failed in a big way.
It was so good. It's so good for your self-esteem, for your growth, for everything. And it could be. And who knows? Even if we do make mistakes, we're humans, right? So. Like, it's all right. Just move on. That's fine. As long as you've learned from your mistake, as long as you know that this is something which I don't need to do anymore, then that's fine. You've learned your lesson, just move on. And I think everybody fails. I think there isn't any successful person on the face of this earth who would say, oh, I've never failed, because that would be hugely unusual. Everybody fails. And I think failure is actually good for you. It's like vitamins. If you don't fail, then you don't grow.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Such good stuff. So, I would love to hear about the International Women Entrepreneur event that you did in the Maldives last year. And let's talk a tiny bit about what we're looking to do together in Dubai. So
absolutely.
I would love to hear about that.
Yay! So exciting! I know. We did so International Women Empowerment Events was literally created last year with the objective of connecting the Eastern and the Western women. And we wanted to take Western women to Asia and Middle East, and then make those women aware that women in the West too face challenges similar to you. Mm-hmm. But this is what they do. You're not in this alone. So the hashtag of a lot of my projects is in this together. Because we're in this together, and then and for me it was a very liberating feeling, honestly, Adrienne, when I moved to London and I realized that I'm not in this alone. So I thought people would be smashing glass ceilings and breaking barriers and doing amazing stuff here, but when I came to London I realized, oh wow, the challenges are pretty similar to the women in the East. Yeah. So that was one of the reasons, and also for the women of the West to know that the women in the East are also doing brilliant things, and they're empowered, and they're doing great, fantastic stuff to literally bring visibility to them. So that was the objective. And then last year we launched this conference in Maldives. We took a lot of international speakers. The event was a massive hit. We had a lot of support from Maldives. We had the gender minister attending. We had male allies. We had identified strong male allies who acted like male ambassadors for the event. So there was a member of the parliament, there were CEOs of different companies, and then there were women from public and private sector. And we talked about things like leadership and visibility and sexual harassment. We had Madeleine Black, who's a very inspirational woman. She's a rape survivor. And we literally, with dialogue, started a mini Me Too movement in the room, which was just so amazing because everybody started opening up. Because people, in Asia, usually, I know the Me Too movement has become like a big thing in the West, but in the East and, particularly countries like Asia and Middle East, it's still not something which is discussed or has gained momentum. People consider it to be like a taboo topic and people wouldn't confess. But because there was such a nice empowered space, literally people started opening up. We talked about, and we had all sorts of people, women in the team who are now strong and independent, but who have had things from their past. For example, somebody had a very abusive childhood. Somebody went through experienced childhood bullying. Somebody went through sexual trauma, and people who went through divorces and financial abuses and domestic abuse. So all sorts of different women who are now doing brilliantly. So they good. Shared their stories, and I think there was so much energy in the room. And then we also had a Qigong instructor, which definitely I recommend taking to Dubai as well, because the Qigong instructor, every time he would, we would discuss a heavy topic, he would do like this 3 minute of, or 2 minutes of de-stressing exercise, and he would be tapping, and we would be doing these different, really nice, invigorating activities.
Wow!
And by the time we left the room, the second day, the energy was so different. So literally we discussed financial awareness, how important it is women to be financially empowered, and then of course sexual harassment. We also talked about online safety and abuse, and in Pakistan we again have similar topics which we're going to do. And then in Dubai, I think is going to be such a wonderful experience, because again Dubai is a city with 85% expats, and it's an amazing vibrant city, and I'm so excited that I'm going there with you.
Oh, me too. Oh, I can't wait. There's so much interest just from everybody that I talk to. All the women that are in my network are like, Adrienne, I am coming with you. So we might have a lot of people from at least the East Coast that are coming to Dubai. So watch out.
Oh, wow. I think that's amazing, Adrienne, because I think this is really, really nice. The energy of the room is so different because, you have like, the Eastern and the Western women together working towards the common objective. And I think it's just such a nice, powerful feeling of in this together.
Yeah. That's so good, Hira. I love the in this together. Everybody should, be using that hashtag all over the place and really showing that by being together and by being in this together that we can do great things. I also wanted to just comment on the conference in the Maldives. And I think that what you were describing about how women felt comfortable to share their stories, I think that is something that is a piece of magic that happens every time women get together in an environment that feels safe and that's a little bit more on the, I would say, quote unquote, smaller side, the under 200 people type of a crowd. I see it happening every year when I do the She Leads annual conference. You have just described it. This is something that is critically important for women to be able to do together, is to come together in an environment that is safe, where there's support, where there's also this incredible feeling of, you can do this, and where there is this practical advice given on how to move forward in any aspect. We don't do that enough as women. And that's why, what I do with the She Leads conferences, what we're doing together in Dubai, what you've done in the Maldives, this stuff needs to continue. And while those bigger, flagship type of conferences are great, and they definitely provide inspiration, they need to be tempered with these smaller, intimate events, because I believe that that's where the change happens.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think, literally the feedback was so positive. It was so nice. So, yeah. And we came back so refreshed and energized ourselves because, even the feeling that you've been able to help another person or vice versa. I mean, they would help you because they would share their stories, and then you just, it's a really out of the world experience. And I think we will experience this together, Amen, in August.
Yes.
And it's, in July.
In July, that's right. You're doing August,
July.
Pakistan.
Yes, I'm doing August, Pakistan. And it's going to be brilliant.
Yay! So we have really, I think, covered probably one topic in a great depth of experience, which I think is amazing. And thank you so much for that. Why don't you tell people where they can, find you, follow you, reach out to you?
Perfect. So I am very active on social media. I think, most active on LinkedIn, where you can find me as Hira Ali Coach. Then on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, my handles are at Advancing You. So if you put at Advancing You, that's where I am on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And then my main website is www.advancingyourpotential.com, which has links to all the different things, like including my book. And yes, please go buy my book.
Yes, buy the book. Buy the book. It's amazing. Her way to the top.
Yay.
Yay. Hira, thank you so much. I can't wait to just, continue our conversation about everything. And I would love to have you back on. Maybe after we do the Dubai conference together, we can talk about all the incredible things that came out of that. So I'd like to, give you an open invitation to come back whenever you'd like.
Brilliant. I would love to be. I love talking to you.
I know, me too. It's so good.
Thank you, Adrian. It was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much. This is the She Leads Podcast Network.